It was an ordinary day at the United Space Observation Center, or at least, it started like one. Scientists and technicians sat hunched over computers, monitoring the vast emptiness of space, when an unusual anomaly appeared on the radar. It wasn't much at first, a tiny blip. Just a flicker of something out of place, nothing anyone would have noticed on any other day. But Dr. Alana Diaz, a senior astrophysicist at the center, couldn't shake the feeling that something was different. The signal was coming from a distant star system, nearly 30 light-years away. For all intents and purposes, it should have been impossible for any signal to reach Earth from that distance, at least, not at the frequency they were detecting. Most radio waves would have dissipated long before traveling that far. But this signal was strong, persistent, and oddly structured, as though it was deliberate. A coded pattern, so perfect that it couldn't be a natural occurrence. Alana immediately alerted the team. They set to work analyzing the signal, trying to find any clues that might explain it. Within hours, they had deciphered part of the message, a series of repeating symbols, each one a complex mix of numbers and letters. But there was something unsettling about it. The symbols didn't match any known code, nothing from Earth's history of communication. It was alien. That's when the panic set in. The news spread quickly. First to the higher-ups at the Space Center, then to world leaders, and finally to the public. Everyone was eager for answers, but no one had any. Alana sat at her desk, staring at the screen, feeling the weight of what was unfolding. What did it mean? And, more importantly, who had sent it? There was no way to know for sure, but one thing was certain: humanity was no longer alone. As the days passed, the message grew clearer. The symbols were giving way to words, albeit strange, foreign ones. Eventually, they managed to decode the full message, and what it revealed sent a chill through everyone involved. The unknown has arrived. You will know us soon. The message was simple, ominous, and left everyone wondering the same thing. What did it mean? The initial shock had worn off, but the world still buzzed with uncertainty. Governments began to take action, working together in ways they hadn't in decades. The UN convened emergency meetings, and nations pooled resources to study the signal, searching for any additional signs of activity. There was no telling what kind of technology the aliens possessed, and humanity was on edge, wondering if they were a threat. Meanwhile, Alana's team continued their work. They had confirmed that the signal wasn't just a one-time event, it was an ongoing transmission. But it had started to change. Instead of random bursts of symbols, it began to pulse in a predictable pattern, almost like a countdown. A countdown to what? No one knew, but the urgency was undeniable. Then came the first sighting. A massive object appeared in the skies, hovering above the ocean. It was silent, but its presence was undeniable. A shimmering metallic craft, nearly the size of a city, with strange markings that pulsed along its surface. The object didn't land, didn't make any attempts at communication, it simply hovered, watching. The world held its breath. Governments scrambled to understand the implications. They dispatched jets and reconnaissance teams, but no one dared approach too closely. The unknown was so vast, so alien, that it rendered even the most advanced military forces helpless. What could they possibly do? What did the aliens want? Alana was called in to consult with the leaders, her mind racing with questions. She knew they needed to act carefully. Every decision they made could lead to irreversible consequences. But time was running out. The countdown continued, and the world was filled with an eerie sense of anticipation. Then, something changed. The object moved. Slowly, methodically, it began to descend. As it neared the ground, the people below could see it more clearly. But it wasn't just one object, there were dozens, appearing from all over the sky. Each one was a different shape, different size, but all of them were the same in one aspect: they radiated an energy that humanity had never encountered before. The ships landed without a sound, and the atmosphere was thick with tension. The countdown, which had now reached its final seconds, seemed to echo in the minds of everyone present. The world watched, waiting for whatever came next. Then, the first being stepped out. It wasn't humanoid in the way that people might have expected, it was something completely different. Tall and elongated, with translucent skin that shimmered in the light. Its eyes were dark, deep voids, and its movements were fluid, almost graceful, as if it were gliding rather than walking. The crowd fell silent, unsure of what to do. The being didn't speak. It simply stood, waiting. And then, as if by some unspoken agreement, the others followed, stepping out from their crafts in perfect unison. For hours, they stood there. No words, no gestures. Just a presence, an unexplainable silence that filled the air. People around the world watched in awe, fear, and wonder. What was this encounter? What did it mean? As the days passed, the world began to realize something disturbing. The alien visitors didn't seem interested in communication. They didn't speak, didn't make any gestures. They simply watched, as if studying humanity. Scientists, military personnel, and political leaders alike were left to wonder what their presence meant. Were they here to conquer? To observe? To teach? Alana, having been at the forefront of the communication efforts, grew restless. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was something they were missing, something hidden in plain sight. It was in the way the aliens moved, the way they watched, the subtle shifts in their behavior. They weren't just passive observers, they were searching for something. One day, after weeks of silence, one of the beings approached the UN headquarters. Alana, who had been summoned to the scene, stood frozen in place as the alien came closer. Its eyes locked onto hers. It didn't speak, but somehow, Alana understood. It wasn't an audible message, it was something deeper, more profound. The alien was trying to communicate in a way that transcended language. Through this strange, silent exchange, Alana came to a realization. The aliens weren't just observing, they were waiting for humanity to prove something. They were looking for a sign that humanity was ready to join them in something greater, something beyond Earth. But there was a catch. The aliens had witnessed countless civilizations throughout the galaxy, and many had failed to meet their expectations. Humanity, they believed, was on the edge of failure. Their arrival was a test, and the outcome depended on the choices that humanity made in the coming days. The countdown had been more than a warning, it was a gauge of humanity's response to the unknown. And the world's leaders, in their fear and hesitation, had made the wrong choices. Instead of coming together, they had squabbled over control, power, and influence. Humanity wasn't ready. The aliens had seen enough. The visitors began to leave, their ships rising back into the sky. As they did, a final message echoed across the world's communications networks: "You have not passed the test. We will return when you are ready." The last of the ships vanished into the stars, leaving Earth behind with the haunting knowledge that humanity had failed. But there was still hope and understanding that, one day, when the time was right, the unknown would return. And humanity would have another chance.